Up next, we have a keynote speaker from Nell Han, who is the founder of Reddio and also is the StarkNet contributor, right? And he has been promoting the use of zkRollups Layer 2 to build cross-platform token application with zero gas fee with high scalability backed by Tiger Cub Fund, Arena Holdings, and Paradigm. So if you're familiar with StarkNet, I think this is the best opportunity. Is Nell here already?
Okay, thank you so much for everyone listening. Hopefully now the speaker is better. Or else I don't think my voice can take what the previous speaker was just trying to yell out. So I'm Neil, I'm a founder of Reddio. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about actually my journey to StarkNet. This is a little bit introduction of myself. I have been based in Singapore for the past 18 years, originally from mainland China. So my last two company has been very interesting. We focus a lot on the developer market for Web 2. So end of this career at PingCAP, a lot of developers asking me, Neil, if we are building apps on blockchain, how can I scale, right? The same thing when I initially know term structure team about 1.5 years ago, we talk about what should be the solution from there. So instead of building our own zkRollups, we choose to work with other companies like that I'm going to talk about. But today, since the previous speaker talked a lot about DeFi, right? So I want to talk a little bit about the games, which is another thing happening in the ecosystem right now. It's very interesting. Actually, I came back from Istanbul about 3 weeks ago on the Dev Connect. So just give you a little bit understanding what's happening there. When you talk about autonomous world for the gaming, last year in the DevCon, there's only like 20 people talking about it. You guess how many people this year attended AW event? 600 people. So a lot of people talk about AW maybe is the next DeFi. And why? So today, actually, I want to go through quickly what's happening for the gaming and what's happening in the future and why there's an Appchain needed. This is the initial structure of the blockchain game, right? It's very simple. People write smart contract on Ethereum, and it was working until DeFi Summer came in, right? It can't hold the gas and scalability anymore with so many ICOs coming up. Actually, during that time, I was in Taipei talking about the Appchain for a musician industry, but it's never happening because the technology at that time was not ready at all. And compared to the most popular payment gateway on the Visa, right? The Ethereum just cannot handle. And that's why there are so many companies are trying to solve with different technologies to scale Ethereum, right? And yeah, I don't know why the picture is like that. This is Axie Infinity. They had to choose to have their own sidechain to scale, but there's issue, right? Without proof, hackers can do bad things, and that's what's happening to Axie Infinity with a sidechain. People always talk about what's the benefit of blockchain. To me, the benefit of the blockchain is really the integrity without human monitoring. It's a machine monitoring the system because by doing that, right, you have the full transparency, you have the full control by the machine, not human being, which is the essence of the blockchain, right? But in the past, when you look at the financial systems, they trust the big system or the big entity to believe that's something people can control and people believe that people is trustable. But actually, a lot of times it's not, right? That's where in the blockchain, right, I still believe any company look into how even a random machine can run a blockchains, that should be the future of the technology. Other than company like this, they scale with the the most powerful machine, not the most available machines. That's where the system is not trustable and always down, right? But now this system is much better, I would say. But still, to me, I don't think that's a direction. But even with that, right, company build more scalable games with more scalable layer ones, even though it's a little bit more centralized. That's where the StepN came in a little bit. Due to the unstable the systems, they have to really have a little bit centralized service to do it. Here comes the Rollups. I won't go into the details, but essentially, what Rollup is doing, I bundle all the transactions at layer 2, and that's where you scale at the layer 2 and making gas a little bit cheaper so that people can use it into a mass adoption, right? And the key difference between the OP and zk is like this. The big difference is like zk has no proof. People believe it will be performing well. But when you withdraw the assets, they give you 1 to 2 weeks time to verify that transaction is valid. And a lot of times I know like a base from Coinbase, they don't have any validation at all because people trust that. To me, that's another signal that's not the direction of the technology. And that's where the zk came in, right? zk believes everything should be verified. And how do you make the verification more efficient? That's where all the zks, right? There are, in the industry, there are 2 zks. I'll skip it quickly because I guess I only have limited time. But the first industry zkRollup is actually invented by Starkware from the StarkEX from Starkware. So far, it's been still the most scalable zkRollup solution so far. And Reddio has been one of them to provide this technology to developers. So essentially, every transaction we do validation with the Merkle root state on layer 1 to do the verification. The proof is generated from the layer 2 for the proof. And with this technology, right, we see the gaming industry is changing from the traditional Web 2 to Web 2.5, which is only the assets on chain. Now it comes with the autonomous world games, which is the fully on-chain games. Why? Because with fully on-chain games, people used to talk about, I create assets on this game, and now I create another game on another blockchain. Same, these two can be interoperable, but it's not, because if the 2 games different thing, why do you want to interchange of the assets, right? So that's where the autonomous world is actually trying to solve. Again, I don't have time to go to it in detail, but I recommend you guys look into the game called Lootverse, Loot Realms, LOOT. So that's the foundation for that loot universe, how they build the initial narratives, how they build the whole different systems and different games on top of the narratives. It's a whole different universe for the games. And this is the current landscape of the fully on-chain games. There's so many companies are doing that now. And with all this, right, finally we have this StarkNet, which is the permissionless, fully trustable blockchain solutions for layer 2. When I talk about StarkEX, they only able to make the assets on chain. Now with StarkNet, you can have all the game logic on the blockchain. That's actually enable what I just been talking about. The fully on-chain games can be having the logic on chain other than only the asset on chain. So again, no big difference. They still bunch all the transactions. Now I can bunch the gaming logic into the layer 2 and generate the proof and verify on the layer 1. But a little bit different way how compared to how the other zk EVM has been doing, because the efficiency of how zk has been doing in terms of the circuit and all the things I believe Jerry's team has been doing is not easy. But in order to really enlarge the benefit of zk, StarkNet chose a different language other than Solidity. Why? Because when you're doing the zk circuit for all these algebraic steps, it's actually quite cheap. But when you do all these bitwise operations, because they are based on technology on a Stark, the Stark is more like a hash based. It's not like a polynomial based. That's where the hash operation need to be efficient. In order to make that efficient, I mean, same thing, right? When you guys choose a language for a backend, you may not choose JavaScript because that's not the most efficient language when you're performing the backend stuff. Similarly, they choose their own language, which is called Carol. Throughout 2 years' time, they finally make it Rust friendly, and now Rust developers are able to pick it up and program it on the layer 2. So from here, what's next? With so many fully on-chain games actually running their logic on the blockchains, we currently see a very interesting tipping point. Because when you see the cloud, there's multi-tenant and single tenant. We see a lot of games now running on a multi-tenant cloud, which is the layer 2, general layer 2. But there's a certain time. One single games can be really, really scalable. And that's where they need a single tenant solution, which is where we see a lot of companies currently build their own app chains on top of StarkNet, which a little bit similar to what Optimism has been doing. They open their stack, and you guys can doing your own app chain based on OP stack. StarkNet is doing the same thing, but differently. All these transactions is verifiable. They need to be verified before they are able to transact. I mean, after transact, they need to verify, other than wait for the final withdrawal time. And this is a very popular framework on the StarkNet. When you ever build a fully on-chain games, you actually can use this framework because this framework has a lot of Kara smart contract underneath. For example, you move this character, the players from left to right, they have a smart contract function for you guys to call. You don't need to write smart contract anymore. On top, you have so many options coming up. And that's where people come back always ask me, Neil, what's the efficiency of the zk VM and zk EVMs, right? This is not from me. This is from the generic knowledge. Compares why when you make it more EVM compatible, the performance is the worst. I'm just sharing the knowledge. I'm not judging anything, right? And this give you more details, like the best compatibility of the EVM, the worst of the performance it is, due to what I just mentioned on the fundamental layers of the zk circuit. It's just different thing. When you compile, you may make a lot of DeFi, a lot of smart contract available on EVM and put it like to the zk EVMs to a certain extent. That's what happening to zk Sync. When they make it EVM compatible, they just have so many DeFi, and people are taking the money and going away. But for StarkNet, when they choose the new technology, right, we see new things came out, which one example is just the fully on-chain games. And this comparison, when you really make the performance super efficient on the zk, where they can definitely beat the OPs in terms of performance. So that actually came almost end of my presentation. So because we see so many companies are building so many interesting things, to me, I'm a guy really focused on developer experience. Compared to structure team, they just go and build their own zk. We use the technology and build an easy to use layer on top of zk knowledge, where you can build your own apps with a few minutes time with the API. You don't need to write smart contract. That's our first product based on the Stark EX. The second product we actually launched a few days ago, where we enable the developers launching your own app chains, because so many gaming companies right now are building their own games and they need this infrastructure. To me, I don't believe the company building their business on like user experience should focus on the fundamental knowledge. That's where we can help. So 5 minutes to launch your own app chain with StarkNet. So that's our second product. So hopefully with all these tech stacks, we are enabling people building more interesting stuff. As a matter of fact, when I was at Istanbul, I see about 10 traditional games building on the lootverse universe, the narratives. All the games are well built compared to the initial Loot Realms, just a pixel game. It's very different. And it's actually almost mind-blowing when I see what's happening during that week of Istanbul. And so what's coming next? With the Vision Pro, the AI, and AR, we see actually the gaming come to a very interesting point. Compared to traditional games, you can't really interpret the gaming assets to different games. With the AR, right? If you build an AR game here and you have another AR game building there, you actually share the same space. All these assets actually can be seen on the different games. And that's where make the assets building on one game make more valuable on another game. Not mentioning what I just mentioned on the loot universe. When you have a narrative built fundamentally on the blockchain, there are just so many new things coming up. I just cannot imagine what's going to happen. So that's what I believe how the direction going to be for the Appchain and the zk stacks, StarkNet stacks. And with that, right, I close my presentation. If you guys are interested in technology, this is our Twitter. Also talk to me. I'm in Taipei for two days. Hopefully we can chat more and talk more opportunities in future. Thank you guys.